Good morning. Dr. West has invited me to share a strategy that I have used with my writers during our session today. And it sort of goes along with all things books, but it talks about what kinds of book projects to offer to our clients if we have them, or ones we want to consider writing ourselves. Today, I'd like to talk just a little bit about ways to include grandparents as writers or grandchildren preparing books for grandparents, or in the middle, those of us who are parents preparing books about or for grandparents. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started after we have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this generous host, Dr. Annette West, who, even though she may be traveling, offers the time platform for others who participate to share some of the strategies that they use. We ask you, Lord, to be with us as we share ways of writing about, with, and for grandparents. Amen. Today, we're going to talk about writing about parents, grandparents, or with grandparents, or something that you may choose to give as a package, as a gift that someone you know may want to do with their families. Today, we're going to talk about ways that you can create a book for grandparents, with grandparents, or about grandparents, with the fact that you may choose to meet me online to plan and be coached through an 8-week project. So it's not a rush thing, but it's something that can be done. We'll be talking about ways to lay out a 24-page storybook and publish it for Christmas 2024, or to purchase the plan and give as it a gift for someone else to meet with me online and create such a book. Through my experience as a classroom teacher and as the past 5 years or so, working with new writers who want to become published writers, I've learned how to coach people through the process. You do the work, I do the coaching. But I'm going to show you how this could work. We would begin by planning the contents of the book. And I'd ask you, if you were doing the project, to find among the things that you have available 1 to 2 photographs that you could use on the left side page, and begin thinking about experiences you've had that picture captures, and in 30 to 100 words, write on the right page. We would have no particular captions, but the way it could be laid out very simply. You could have one picture on the left side, the story on the right side. You may choose 2 pictures to put on the left side. The story could be 30 words, it could be 50 words, 75 words, but we choose a template so that the story could be told about those 1 or 2 pictures in that space. The pictures need not be large. They can be smaller pictures, but the story would be there. During our time together, I would share with you templates that Kindle Direct Publishing already has agreed to accept. And you may have a book cover like this, where you have a picture on the front, your title as usual, your full name, your authors. If it's a family book, you would have the family names there, and a blurb on the back, author picture if it's just one person, but remembering always to leave space for the ISBN code. To give you a sense of how this could work, I want to share with you one of the books that I wrote about my grandfather. I mentioned already that you could use your own family photos, but you could also use drawings by grandchildren, or you may choose to hire an artist. In this particular case, I hired an artist through Fiverr, one of the online resources that connects writers with illustrators from all over the world. In this particular case, I chose an artist who happened to have been from Sri Lanka. And this is the book that we worked on based on my experience with my grandfather. In fact, it's a book that is based on a poem I wrote when I was taking a course. And we were asked to write about someone we knew and use certain criteria as we were gathering the facts and the information for it. And this is the way it went. I said you can have your own family pictures drawing by illustrators. And this is the one that I wrote. And we'll just read it through with you. Started with who my grandfather was. My grandfather, or grandpapa we called him, working at odd jobs, living out his faith. God called him to pastor, to shepherd his flock, and to care for his family. Amidst the dusty pew odor and sour, mildewy hymnals, intermingled with colognes and aftershave, energy and perspiration, I see him sitting on the platform in a small rented church, his skin glistening like warm maple syrup, his bald, billiard bare head thrown back or cocked to one side. I'm going to stop here because I want you to notice this picture on the left. I mentioned I was working with an artist from Sri Lanka, and when I sent her the information that I wanted a picture of a pastor sitting on the platform or the stage of the church with stained glass windows, because she is not of Christian descent, it did not occur to her to use biblical features or illustrations from biblical works in the windows. She put flowers. She had no cross on there. And so I had to insert the cross. But during their conversations with this author for the rest of the book, we had an opportunity to talk about our beliefs, the way we were trained, the way we were raised, and how this book could better illustrate someone from a Christian perspective than from one that she was more familiar with. And so the story went on. His billiard bare head thrown to back or cocked to one side. And she had no problem putting in the illustrations of the music, because by that time I knew I had to tell her what I had in mind rather than assume that she understood just because she reads English, I read English, but we had different cultural backgrounds. And so what she saw in her mind when I wrote was different than what I saw in my mind when I wrote her. My book goes on and talks about my grandparents, the fact that they got married when they were 16 and 21 years old. And then the next few pictures talked about the fact that them married more than 52 years. What a model. What a challenge. Then we encourage the writers to think about some experiences they've had with their grandmothers or grandfathers. And this is the one that I chose to put in about my grandfather. My grandfather, as you noticed, was a pastor. And after dinner, Grandpapa tells humorous anecdotes of his first year as a pastor. She listens as though each detail is new to her. but even I know the stories of that dinner invitation. And the book goes on for another 15 or 20 pages with pictures on the top and script on the bottom. But you don't have to do it that way. It's your choice as an author to lay out the book the way it would work best for the family, for the audience that you have in mind. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do to enhance the value of the book that you are doing is to include something that your grandchildren could do or the grandchildren of the person to whom you're giving the book can do. Add something that the readers could do or write after they have read the book. And so in my book, perhaps because I'm also a teacher and I also believe that a book is worth more than a single reading, I added this assignment. Your turn. Write a poem about someone special to you. Poems don't have to rhyme and have a steady beat. They do have carefully chosen words to recreate special times and special feelings about people, places, and events. Poets get to decide to have or not have rhyme or rhythm in the pattern of the poems. And then the next page asks them, add a picture that you draw or a photo you have of your special friend. If your parent or grown-up gives you permission, send your finished poem to me and I will post it on my website so others can read or write about with pictures. And so on this particular case, I included in the book my website where I would be able to post poems that people would send to me. And I'm pleased to say, just this week, I received an email from one of my former students who read this book to her class just this past week. I'm not sure she's going to do the activities, but if you were to do it, this is what you would find in my book. When you think about your special friend, what do you see in your mind when you think about the person or place? This gives them an opportunity to include the five senses. So this would be sight. Then, what odors, spices, or fragrance do you remember? Given the opportunity, consider the sense of smell. What music, words, or noise do you remember hearing? Sound, hearing. What do you remember feeling with your hands or other parts of your body when you've been with or around this special person? The sense of touch. And then, of course, what favorite foods do you remember sharing with this special friend? The sense of touch. So we ask him to think about these memories with this special person. And if you happen to be one who decides to write this as a grandparent book, think about the grandparent. Flip through your photos to see if you have pictures of times that you were with this person. I mentioned films accidentally, but nowadays with modern technology, you can have the film, the MP4 flowing through your computer, stop and capture scenes that would help your story go. Now, on this page, write about this person who is special to you. First, write your ideas. Then, arrange the words in the way you want your poem to look when it's read and sound when it is heard. Those of you who are listening today who are coaches or editors know that writing is a process. There's the pre-writing. For some of that pre-writing, it's all in our heads. For some of us, we have to write it first. My daughter, who is now teaching freshman English, said that when she mentioned this to her class just this week. One of the young ladies said, I like to write with my hands. Can I just write my draft, take a picture of my draft, insert it into a page, and send it to you? Because the students were at that time, they were in the computer lab, and most of them were doing their drafting on the computer. She says, I learned better when I write with my hands. And so this may be the case for the young people with whom you're working if you're going to do this grandfather book. But the key is first, write it and then get it right. In this case, when you're writing a poem, the arrangement of the poem on the page determines how the book will look, but also how the poem will be read. And as always, when you're writing a book, there's certain criteria you want to include. And in this case, we ask those who are writing the poems or the storybook to include the answers to the 5 W's and H. Who's the person? What happened that makes the person special? What are some places that you spent with this person, where they were? Pull some photos that tell that story. When did some of these incidents occur? You may decide to write the book in chronological order: early, middle, late. Early years, middle years, late years, recently. Why is this person important to you or special to you? How do you want to describe it? And as the last page of this particular section of the book, I said, appeal to the 5 senses that we've just talked about: sight, smell, touch, taste, sound, and taste. And make your special purpose and memory come alive for the reader. Choose words to show how the person and place looked, smelled, sounded, felt, and the way food tasted. Now, you know that once you or your family have gone through this process, you will have evoked some very special memories. And this is one of the reasons that we say that writing is a way to record and to reflect on memories. And for this reason, I'm going to start once more and go through what we did today and show how the book that I was writing does some of the things that we were asking you to do. So I'm just going to flip back. Grandpapa, a poem with pictures. Notice ways that we would encourage whoever's using the book to go back and look at the book we've just read and see whether or not this person has actually done what she recommended we do at the end. And so we start. Grandfather, or grandpapa we called him, working at odd jobs, living out his faith. Here is the who. Who is this person? God called him to pastor, to shepherd his flock. This gives me a little more information about this person, and you would do the same thing in the book that you're writing or encouraging your clients to write about grandparents. What did he do? He cared for his family. Here would be a good place to put in a photo of the family, perhaps when the children were young, perhaps more recently. Tell me something about this person. Notice the imageries, the sensory imageries on this one. Amidst the dusty pew odor and soury, mildewy hymnals, intermingled with colognes and aftershave, energene and perspiration, we got the sense of smell. I see him sitting on the platform in a small rented church, his skin glistening like warm maple syrup. Aha! You see him? Where is he? It's a rented church. This gives you a little sense of what this person was like. What does his skin look like? But notice this would be a place to introduce the idea of similes and metaphors. A metaphor of what it looks like. What did he look like? His bald, billiard bare head, thrown back or cocked to one side. Notice here, we're using alliteration, the repetition of initial consonant sounds. And so if you're working with children who are in middle school, maybe even high school, you're encouraging them to use in the book that they're preparing about or for a grandparents some of the literary techniques that they are learning in school. And so they're going to say, here's a place I can do what I'm learning in school. Another page on the book, after several other pages I had of them growing up and getting married, who is this person to me? They are a model for me. Them, married more than 52 years. What a model. What a challenge. And again, a place that you can pull out pictures that are special to your family and include them in the book in ways that whoever's reading it will know more about the grandparent. But if you choose to give the book as a gift, the grandparents will know how special they were to you. The story goes on about a particular place. After dinner, Grandpapa tells his humorous anecdotes of his first years as pastor. She, in this case my grandmother, listens as though each detail is new to her. But even I, the author of the story, know the story of that dinner invitation. And in the book, the next few pages talk about that particular incident in the grandfather's story. And so, as you were considering ways to adapt or adopt this particular project for yourself, remember that you can enhance the in value of almost any picture book if you add something that the readers can do or write based on their reading. And in my book, I included the your turn to write. Give them a chance to think. Add a picture of your friend, of your grandparent, if that happens to be. If you happen to be writing the book yourself, include ways that people can contact you in the book. Include steps for the pre-writing. What do you see? What odors? What special music? What feelings? What foods? And then write the poem in the process with the steps. Write first, then arrange, then add the pictures, etc. So you could also include on the back page an author page. In this case, I wrote this book in 2017. I was an educator who believes in writing poetry with her students, encourages them to write and share their work with family and friends. She is a wife and mother who enjoys writing about memories of time spent with her own family and friends. She invites you to do the same. So as we close out this time together, I thank Dr. West for giving me this opportunity to share, but I also invite you, if you're interested in knowing more about it, to contact me, and we can talk about ways that you can adapt what I'm doing or contract with me to help you write the book yourself. I'm going to stop sharing now and give you an opportunity to ask questions or add your own experiences about writing about family. Anyone care to share at this time? Okay. If not, again, thank you, Dr. West, for giving me this opportunity to share this experience of writing about a grandparent and to offer those who observe and watch your program the opportunity to do it themselves, to do it with their clients, or to invite me to help them do it. Angela, will you unmute your mic?
Hi, Dr. Roseboro. This is Angela. Yes, thank you for your presentation. I missed a little bit of it, but I definitely liked the part that I heard. I do have an experience with this. I'm a seminarian at Louisville Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I last semester I had the opportunity, one of my class assignments was to do I forget the Japanese term for it, but basically a slide presentation in
Hmm.
reference to different aspects of my life. And it's
Hmm.
a really short presentation,
Hmm.
like 10 seconds per slide or something like that. It's like I said, it's some sort of Japanese
Yes,
form.
I know the term. Yes.
Yeah,
I
you're familiar
forgot
with
it's a 20 slides and some kind of seconds. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's an interesting challenge, but thank you for sharing. I got to remember that, share that with my daughter. She teaches. Uh, yep,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So it was interesting. It was a way to share about my family and
Hmm.
life and all of that, past, present, and future. And it was
Hmm.
a very interesting exercise. So thank you for what you shared today. And it just reminded me of that, and I wanted to share that.
I'll consider pulling together that particular uh, presentation as a book to give as a gift.
Cool. Sounds
You've
good.
already got the pictures, you've already got the words, and with very little adaptation, can become a picture book. It can be a picture book that could be published as a print book. It could become a picture book that is done just simply as an ebook. But this is one of the ways that we can honor those people who are special to us by sharing ways that we have shared about them. So if you're interested, contact me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else today? If not, so long. See you next time. And I hope to hear from you, Angela, either because you have decided to publish your book and it's out there, or you'd like some assistance doing it. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Mhm.